think you came to wake a part of me still sound asleep. Something that I must have denied, I want and need. But you shouldn't stay, you ought to go. You served your peace. I have the scar, I have the song, now you can leave. I know you only came to name these tears. After all the water I've cried, I have no fear. What could I fear now, and who could I fear? I met betrayal, I let her stay here, but my OGs won't let no pain remain here. So they shook it up and made it plain and made it clear. Susie's on another lane. We the Madamas and we don't play them games. Como mi amo, I know you know my name. Como mi amo, it's time you say my name. Cause I know why you came. 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 You only came to give a name to these fears. You only came to give a name to these tears that I won't cry. I won't cry. I won't cry. I won't cry for you. No, I won't cry. You only came to give a name to these fears. You only came to give a name to some tears that I won't cry. No, I won't cry. No, I won't cry. I won't cry for you. No, I get up early in the morning. I get up early in the morning. I get up early in the morning. I can't sleep at night. Well, I wanna know who's gonna hold me. I wanna know who's gonna rock me. Yes. I wanna know who's gonna console me. Yes. And hold my side, my right side. Who is gonna hold my side? My right side. Who is gonna hold and console and
Today's bit of Black Girl Magic music is brought to you by the very rare and ever so precious gem of an artist and humane being, TreZure Empire. I am Queen Godis, and this is another dazzling episode of B-Side Darling. Let us give it up one more time. You just heard two songs back to back, Came to Name and Early, and I would love for you to right around now, early in the show, introduce these gentlemen who helped you play this song for us.
All right, well, we have Chico Fire on guitar.
Hello.
Compton Timberwolf on drums. And Entrified, the god of sound, on keys.
And in front of us, we have young shaman of the streets, young high priestess of the hood, mermaid from the PJs, the intersection of community meets the cosmos, and my friend, who I'm about to be all the way biased for, TreZure Empire, yet again. So let's start with being mushy. I want to say most people don't start a show like this by telling the artist how much they love them, unless it's like, I love you, and I'm not going to do it like that. I'm going to say, I love you. You really, I've known you since we were teenagers, and it is really special to, from this side of the mic and the stage, get to watch you shine and grow and to share this experience together. I'm really happy, and I wanted to just take a moment for us to take that in.
I love you, and I'm so thankful to experience it with you.
We have so many things to talk about. We may not get to all of it, but let's start. Affirmation time. So recently, it was acknowledged that Jay-Z became the first billionaire of hip-hop. Ford typically releases these lists of who makes the millionaire, billionaire list. What you don't know is that you're also on this list. And we would like to know, affirmation, affirmation, affirmation. We would like to know, since you are newly on the billionaire list as a young artist, what are you going to do with the first $1 million in general, and particularly what part of that might you share with Brooklyn, and in what way?
I would definitely want to start a music program for Diaspora Music History because that's my life's work. I'm very passionate about the whole diaspora coming together, Afro-Taino, Afro Indigenous people sharing their history in singular spaces all over the world. That's what I would do.
And so one of those spaces would be in Brooklyn?
Of course.
All right, of course. So let's come a little bit closer. Let's stand on this side just so I can feel a little better. Okay, cool. So I think you're one of the artists on this stage who've almost lived, I think you've lived in almost every borough.
Well, I didn't live in Queens, but
not Queens, but you've lived in, about Staten Island?
No, I have people in Staten Island. I'm from the Bronx.
From the Bronx.
I'm from
Did
the
a
Bronx.
bid in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Then New York City. Talk about it. Talk about this journey through the boroughs, and then talk about particularly your time living as a resident and artist in Brooklyn.
All right, well, I'm from the Bronx, and we're just a rare type. We come with a heat that everybody needs, but it's hard to get. So I definitely did a lot of my work in Brooklyn. I did perform a lot uptown, as much as I could, but this is the epicenter of new art. So that's how I ended up moving to Brooklyn. And I love Crown Heights. Like, I love Flatbush with everything. So it's definitely an inspiration in how I produce my music now to keep a very Afro-Caribbean vibration all the time.
If we could do percentages, what percentage of each borough do we find in your music?
All right, well, you're going to find like 80% of the Bronx
80%
in my
of the
music. Because I'm
I
very
mean,
Puerto
Bronx
Rican.
Okay, fine. All right, fine.
But no, I mean,
And
maybe
then
let's say
the rest
75.
of us
Let's say
split
75.
the 20% or the
75,
50?
75 for the Bronx,
Okay.
and
Thank you for being so
25
generous.
for Brooklyn,
Okay.
for sure.
All right, we got the rest of them out of there. All right,
Very much from the
we'll take the
Bronx.
25%. By the end of the show, we'll be up to 50. I guarantee it. All right, I'm going to start with this quote, and I would love for you to respond to it, and then we're going to go into the next song. And this quote spoke to me because I've watched you rebirth yourself as a human being and as an artist so many times. So speaking of birth, the decision whether or not to bear a child is central to a woman's life, to her well-being and her dignity. It is a decision she must make for herself. When government controls that decision for her, she is being treated as less than a full adult human responsible for her own choices. That is a quote from the notorious RBG Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I would love for you to respond to that, and then we'll take it from there.
I believe everyone's benefit, everyone's wealth, everyone's success comes from a woman's womb. Men and women alike, we all need women to always feel liberated, always feel protected, always feel inspired, and it is absolutely uninspiring to tell a woman what to do with her body when we all benefit so greatly from her freedom.
And I was going to ask a follow-up, but I'm not, because I think that was very clear. And we're going to go into the next song, which is called Wild is the Wind, which is perfect because there's a wild side of every woman that needs to be free, and so let's sing about it. Give it up one more time for TreZure Empire.
Say you do. Let me fly away with you, for my love is like the wind, and wild is the wind. Give me more than one caress. Satisfy this hungriness. Cling to me.
So if you're just tuning in, this is B-Side. We are all the way live, and you are listening to the sounds of this earth tone gem, a babe with an electric neon fade. That's right, TreZure Empire. And we want to give it up one more time for these musicians. We got Andrew behind her. This is a part of the show where we can't go any further until we do some proper shout-outs. A lot of times when artists are on this stage, the audience really is, sometimes the audience just, we don't know where they came from. We've never seen these people before. They don't even know the artist performing. But this time, you've brought probably half of the audience are artists from Brooklyn, which happens a lot when you are an artist from Brooklyn. You get to kind of build community or shape community in a very interesting way. So I want to give some shout outs. We have Steve in the audience, Kayama in the audience, we have Morgan in the audience, we have Roberta Hood is in the audience, we have the person who made you in the audience, Mama TreZure. We got Mark in the audience. And then I want to give a collective, I'm sure there's more, so forgive me, but I want to give a collective shout out to the Madamas. Who are the Madamas? If you're a Madama, hey, tell us who the Madamas are and how this group influences your work.
Okay, so in Afro-Cuban culture, we refer to madamas. They're often referred to in the States as like mammies, but we don't really see them that way. We see them as the protectresses. Mm-hmm. And
for those who don't know, just qualify what the mammy image has been.
So the mammy is typically a older, full-figured Black woman with her headscarf, very similar to like Aunt Jemima. In the Caribbean, we venerate her. We don't see her in a very negative way. And in Cuba, madamas are the women that looked out for the family. Oftentimes, if someone was in trouble, they were the ones who knew how to do the herb work. They're the sisters and the mothers that made sure everyone was in balance in really turbulent situations. And for my madamas, that's what we do for each other. We really uphold each other. We make sure everybody's standing tall. In any way we can support each other. And I think that's a lifestyle that women across the world really need to cultivate.
Mm-hmm. Imagine telling women like that what they could do with their bodies and their minds. We're going to leave that there. So we just heard a song called Wild is the Wind. And since we've given so much shout out to the wild woman, the nation builder and upholder, there's so much politics to talk about there. There's so much sisterhood to talk about. There's so much interpersonal things. But what you and I talk about often, when I was participating in social media in our DMs, would be what?
Nails.
Nails.
We would send each other pictures of nails.
It's probably one of my most fun things. Nobody would expect it. I think if we could all get a snapshot into each other's DMs and Big Brother or whatever, I'm not asking you to do this any more than you already are. But the DMs is really where it goes down. We talk about nails, manicures, yes. And it is, I kid you not, it's the funniest thing. I have never had acrylics. I have never, I've gotten my nails done, but I've never gone all the way out. So we want to get a close-up of your hands first and foremost.
They always
wonderful.
They're always, that's like kind of giving them a little taste. But whenever I see an image of a coffin nail or the claws or whatever, I've learned so many things from this woman, by the way, about nails. I instantly think of you, no matter where I am, even as I'm not participating in social media. Like whenever, to me, it's one of the sweetest things that of all the stuff going on in the world, the heavy stuff, the crazy stuff, the intense stuff, we found this thing, the glittery stuff. No, but not to be mistaken. Don't get it twisted because you can get clawed up, But
These are weapons, if need be.
How do you find balance?
You have to create balance. It's very difficult to find balance, but I definitely believe in wholeness. And
say it again. Thank you for the question. You don't find balance, you create balance.
Yeah, you have to create balance, and you have to be honest with yourself about everything that makes you. So, you know, I am a proud historian and ethnomusicologist, and I like to twerk, and I like to fet, and I really like to stay well-rounded so that I'm a part of the world, you know? There's something that connects us to everyone if we allow ourselves.
So let's go on the opposite of manicure, back to the title of the song, which is Wild is the Wind. When I feel my most wild, I am
Free.
doing. What are some of the things that you do to access that freedom?
I'm singing, I'm in movement meditation, I'm teaching. I love teaching about music history, which is hard because Black music history is not necessarily the most marketable work, but I feel free and I feel liberated when I'm able to share in any kind of space and time I'm in. Whining.
And is that this kind and also this
Yes,
kind?
all of this.
Yes, all that.
Masquerade is freedom for me. I love to play mass. But really, it's just moving at my own pace above all. Moving at my own pace.
And I've also found you at the Coney Island Mermaid Parade.
Yes.
There's so many things that you do to unleash the wild and also to embrace the wild. And so I wanted to acknowledge those, because maybe the rest of us could borrow from it when we need to. So I wanted to just say that. And there was something else that I wanted to talk about in terms of this sense of the balance between the manicured and the wild. You have a goddaughter. Give a shout out to Cypress.
I have a few, but
you have a
Cypress
few.
is my boo.
Imagine she was sitting here and she's coming of age, and she did come of age, and she wants to say, God, mommy, if you could, in one sentence before we go to the next song, give me a piece of advice to help me in the most difficult of time to maintain, to achieve and maintain agency over my own sense of balance between what most people have considered to be these extremes of womanhood, these ideas of the manicured and the wild. What would that statement be?
Well, what I do tell Cypress is that she has to trust herself. She has to learn the importance of her own inner voice, because we are so easily influenced, and I think that there's always an opinion on women and what's the right way to be. I'd very much encourage her to celebrate herself. That's really what I tell her at 10 years old, is that it's time to start celebrating yourself, because if you don't learn that when you're little, it's really hard to do when you're an adult.
So you got that? And this goes for the fellas too, don't front. Y'all need it. Trust yourself and celebrate yourself. Let's celebrate TreZure some more. Give her a round of applause as we go into the next song. The next song is called Gira Gira.
Gira, gira, oh, gira, deixa, gira, gira. Deixa, gira, gira. Saravaiança. Ixango, Iemanjá, Iê. Deixa, gira, gira. gira, deixa, gira, gira. Oh, 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 gira, deixa, gira, gira, deixa, gira, gira, deixa, gira, gira. Oh, gira, deixa, gira, gira. Inhança, 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 inhança. Deixa girar, girar, deixa girar, girar. Inhança, 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 inhança. Deixa girar, 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 girar.
For those of you adjusting the speakers on your television sets or whatever device you're watching on, saying, I did not understand a word she just said, there's a reason for that, so stay tuned. We will talk about it. And for those of you who are part of our international audience, thank you for tuning in. Tell me who said this. I sing for that access to paradise while living here in hell. Singing is how God still allows us to walk heaven and earth, how we defy gravity and connect this universe. The voice moves in the most immensely loving ways when it is singing for the spirits. Singing is a medicine first. Who said it?
I have no idea.
You don't know?
No.
I feel like this quote from our producers is attributed to you.
Oh my God, no. I mean, did I say that?
Straight, the producer says I got it straight off her Twitter.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. You know, it's so funny when you're in the moment and you're just existing in the present. You don't even know what you're doing.
I've gotten accused of working for the FBI several times from artists on this stage because I quoted back to something that they had just posted that they didn't realize or that they didn't want to claim.
just
I think
made
it's
my
a different
day.
reason. But I hope that this makes your day. If you watch and you know who you is, watch what you say. Okay, so that was you. Singing is a medicine first. Go ahead. We don't
Now
take
I
a moment of
remember.
silence. Yeah, take a moment of silence. You know when you're dope and your cup runneth over and like you're giving all the dopeness out and then in a moment that dope swoops you up and you kind of just get teary-eyed. Yeah, that's what this moment is.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me that I said that.
Yeah. What does it mean?
Music is truly my medicine. I've never known anything that was so healing and transformative in anyone's life like music can be and what music really is for me. Singing has changed my body. Singing has changed my mind in so many ways. Singing took so much anger outside, like, took it away. I took some time where I thought I didn't want to sing, and I physically became ill. So I know that it's what God sent me here for, and it is what I'm here to heal as many of us with. That's the work. That's why I do this, actually, because as much as I'm an entertainer, I truly treat this as my spiritual practice. And I always hope that people walk away like breathing easier.
Or breathing, period.
Yes, or restarting.
Yeah, we're going to take a lot of deep moments of silence after things that you say. This is I think a lot of times artists, we're full of mantras and quotes, especially those of us who write. It's what we do. Finesse it, we're good at it. But this is no small thing because when you say things like that, the universe holds you to task. And it is not pretty, and it is not glamorous, and it is not easy. The minute you as an artist declare, outside of getting the bag and outside of looking dope and outside of getting interviews and whatever, that you want to use your craft to help somebody to heal, including yourself, what starts to happen?
What starts to happen is we all start smiling a lot more. It's way more restorative than just being an entertainer. I could have surely just taken to the stage that way, but when I write and when I choose the songs and the repertoire I sing in any language, it's truly because I've witnessed it, I've seen it, I've seen people find themselves in a moment that I didn't know I was bringing them.
And in addition to the smiling, you give people permission to also cry.
Oh, surely.
And to erupt. And
it's usually all at once.
All at once. Like you start doing body functions at the same time that you didn't know was possible. But let's speak about the part of the medicine of music that not only kind of taught you how to heal, but it also taught you language. You learned Portuguese, which is what gira gira, which we just heard, which you sang in Portuguese. That's not your native tongue. You did not grow up in native, a place where Portuguese is the first language. But the music took you around the world first, without ever getting on a plane, and then the plane and the tours, that came later. So talk about it.
I mean, every language I sing in, other than Spanish, I haven't actually touched all of these lands yet. This is how I've reached them, and this is how I've reached people from these spaces when I sing flamenco. It's been beautiful to see how that really works in Brooklyn, because there's so many people from Spain that don't really feel like there's a voice for them here. Singing in Portuguese has connected me to so many different Brazilians all over the world. Even in Japan, I met some of my best friends from Brazil singing in Portuguese. So I think that it reminds us that we're connected, and that's really my motivation. I'm very motivated by people seeing that we're all nomadic and we've all already experienced each other. And if we work from that, it's a lot more harmonious than thinking of ourselves as so different all the time.
You also sing in Orisha, and it's not a language, but it is a language at the same time that it's not a typical language. Is there anything you want to say about spirituality as a language inside of your music, or music as a tool for evoking spirituality?
Well, Gira Gira is a song honoring Oya.
Oya
is the goddess of the wind. She is the goddess of transformation, the Orisha that really leads us forward in Yoruba culture. That song is by Austin Kaus, a group that many people don't know. It's very hard to get their repertoire recorded anymore. Very hard to buy. But I find Orisha music in as much as I can, whether it's directly speaking to our deities or not. I really believe that a love song is a song that is about your relationship with God. And I love Gira Gira because it's so seductive and it's so physical, but it's really a song for God,
Let's talk about that collaboration briefly, and then we'll go into the next song. When you read TreZure's bio, you'll hear some of the acts that she's open for, some of the people that she's collaborated with. So shout out to New Rap Order if they're watching.
Gotta shout out my pros.
Give you a little heart. But let's name drop some of your most moving collaborations. And then let's name drop the unusual collaborations. What are some of the energies, the spiritual ideas that you collaborate with in your music?
All right, well, I'm always in a collaboration with Elegua. I really am.
Say it again?
Elegua. Elegua is the Lord and the Orisha of the crossroads. And I really always feel like whatever kind of style of music I'm dealing in, it's always with him because he's a trickster and he's a reminder, not to pigeonhole yourself, not to assume one direction, but assume the best direction for yourself and to focus on the best direction. But in the physical world, I adore being able to get to know and open for Bilal. That was one of the best things because he's like my master teacher and he's so gracious and supportive. So that was really, really so special. being a New Rap Order was also really special because it taught me not only how to be a singer in hip-hop, but still maintain my own style, but it also really led me to becoming a producer, like being with Swift and just being in the gang. I always wanted to like figure out my
Let's call out their names. These are names that don't get
So, you know,
Cave Swift, we got Cavalier, we got
Supernova. We have Mankind. We have Spies. So, and we have, you know, Sleep Past. So we've been at this most of our adult lives. We're all over the country now, but that really helped me to learn how to make my own space. And I've always had my brothers, and I'm so thankful for them. And performing and collaborating with Yazra, always being able to collaborate and build with you has been like an extreme influence on me. I mean, I don't want to get too mushy, but I learned how to set myself up from you. Like when I saw how you were moving, I was like, that's exactly what I'm about to do. So, you know, you know, in college, she was on tour. So I was just like, oh, college is to go on tour.
That's what college is for.
That's what college is for.
On that note, let's come back and talk about college again after the next song and also education. I'm going to say it, I said it at the top of the show, I'm going to say it again. I love you. I love y'all. Give us some love and we're going to the next song. The next song is called Come Down.
How you see, you will believe. How you work within to work out. Like the planting of a seed. In the dark we make resound shouts. So let them demons light their fire. Sooner we let the water come down. The universe only desire is to let the water come down. So come down. We let the water come down. Come down, yeah. We let the water come down. Ooh, let the water come down. Ooh, let the water come down. 'Cause all that must be released will be revealed. Everything you could ever need should bleed and heal. When the Jumbies jump in your dreams and leave you shivering and shaking, it's only to make them come down. Now feel for yourself. Take me in and feel it for yourself. We are life surreal. There's no one else. We are the actors. So if this water spills, if we must swing some steel, then we gon' let it come down. 'Cause it's what these flowers need.
to TreZure Empire and the crew. They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds, Mexican proverb. But what's awesome about being a seed is that we have stuff like water to help nourish us. So again, I want to give a shout out to all of your family members in the audience who've been water for you. Thank you for helping to raise her and lift her up and nurture her. I also want to acknowledge Flint, Michigan, which still doesn't have clean water. I also want to acknowledge Standing Rock community that had their water contaminated by oil. I also want to acknowledge the animals in the ocean that are being found washed up on the shore with plastic in their bodies.
And Newark.
So we have to do something about the climate and the water. Thank you for bringing that to our space to acknowledge that. So let's water her some more. I don't normally do this because the audience is not mic'd, but I'm going to repeat what you say. So I'm going to ask people from the audience to just shout out words that come to mind when you think of TreZure, and then I'll repeat it so that people at home can hear it. Jambalaya, yes. Okay, we went right all the way up into it. I was thinking beauty and amazing. We went to jambalaya, so let her marinate on that. Anybody else? Come on. Truth. Jambalaya and truth. Love, power, light, pride. Firecracker. Electricity. Big booty hope. Thank you very much for saying that, because my word is twerk. Okay. This is my contribution word to see if you didn't see it coming. I remember TreZure 10 years ago maybe. And you had a blonde poof of locks in the front, black locks in the back, and it was very striking. But there was a different body of work, pun intended. And I remember asking you what helped you shed, or what did you do? And you were talking about, specifically in this case was losing weight, and you were talking about losing weight, and you said, oh, I was just twerking. And you said, she literally told me, so most people are kind of doing Jacqueline, and if that is still a thing, or crunch, or getting their gym membership or whatever. And she was like, I literally twerked for I don't know how many hours out of the day, and that's how I shed. Tell us about it.
You know, I love being a woman. I love the female body, and I didn't have a body transformation because I was concerned with my weight. I was actually like a really popping big girl. You couldn't tell me nothing. But I wanted to get rid of anger. That was really my motivation. And when I made a commitment to myself that I was like, I don't really want to walk around. I used to be rah-rah with it. Like,
for those who don't know, rah-rah means I will bust a cap in that ass. Okay, let's continue.
Right. So I was really turned up. I was really hostile with myself, with anything that could turn me up. And I didn't want to live like that. And the summer that I decided that I really wasn't going to uphold that anymore, I just shed. And twerking was the most fun. It was private. It was personal. It wasn't something that I wanted to do for the gram. I really just wanted to experience my own body. And I think, now, 10 years later, I refer to it more as movement meditation because it was the space that I created for myself to make sure I was good with my body and that it wasn't something that was for someone else. I just wanted it to be mine. So twerking and just, I think, dance in general, especially for us Black women, it is a language that we should uphold and we should not be ashamed of, and we shouldn't make so many decisions about who people are because of the languages they speak. It's a language.
Let's hold it there. We shouldn't make decisions about who people are because of the languages that they speak. And then language becomes this expansive concept. That doesn't mean just the words that come off of your tongue, but it's the language of your soul, the way that you wake up in the morning and what gets evoked just by your mere presence, being who you truly and divinely are. Someone in the audience threw out the word pride. That is a word that came up for them when they thought of you. And I'm going to examine that some more. I'm going to say another quote here, and then you can just share whatever thoughts come to mind. It says, To say that all Black lives matter is to say that all Black intersectionalities matter, which includes Black queer lives. There's another quote that says, being an ally is a sustained and persistent pattern of action, not an idle or stable noun. And this comes from Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity, Inc., the Alpha chapter, which recently was in the news for making a statement that they were not going to allow Black trans women into their
sorority?
Yeah. And I'm bringing this up not because there is any need here to tell people what to think, but at the base level, I have to say this, and I feel like this is something that I get from your work, is that at the base level, regardless of what we choose for ourselves, it seems like what you exude and what you were saying is that we want to create a world where people can wake up and be who they authentically are, and in being who you are, you get to have the dignity of a full life and respect, period. Like maybe nothing more than that, maybe not converting anybody else, maybe not making other people believe what you believe or do what you do, but what is it about, why is that so important, to have space for people to fully be who they are and to know that they deserve dignity, love, and respect?
That's, for me, everything. I don't believe that we are here to live in accordance to anything but ourselves, and that we choose to align with others. But we have to have a clear self-definition, and we all deserve that space, and we all deserve time for that. I'm really
Say it again. We have to have a space for clear self-definition.
Absolutely. And I think that so much of our physical health issues, so much of our emotional health issues, so much of the violence in our country's culture comes from people not having space to figure themselves out. Honestly, because this constant development of who you are as someone else sees it fit leads to a lot of neurosis, and just it'll drive us all crazy.
And it has, because I think if we listen to the things that people are saying, it really doesn't, there's no alignment there. Like, case in point, so a lot of people believe in the abortion ban, that's fine, you can have that belief, but at the same time that you want there to be life, you don't protest as nearly as much for people being gunned down just because of what they look like, right, and what they choose to do with their own body, do with their own bodies once they are make it past the fetal stage.
Exactly.
So there's something that's out of alignment there. So I wanted to use this moment to talk about that. Do you feel like you are making statement music? And if so, what percentage of your music is statement music, and what percentage do you reserve just to be carefree?
That's a balance. I like to maintain a true story about myself, which will always allow me to be more carefree. But I realize that all of my music really comes down to discussions about the battles within, and how are we going to face those battles? Are we going to fight everything? Are we going to resolve certain things? So in that sense, I think it's statement music. I don't use a lot of trigger language, because I think that the concepts that come to my heart are universal, and they're also timeless. So I would pray that long after I'm gone, they still have a relevance. I think the statement just comes mainly through the intonation. The tone of my voice is how I'm consistently giving a statement of this is what it is, and setting a standard. I wouldn't go so far to say that I'm politically motivated, but I'm human motivated. I really want people to have healthy human experiences and to feel strength in their time on this earth, to not feel like they're weak or inferior in any capacity. So that's the statement that would be centered to all of my music, that you need to be upright with you.
I think that's a good one to end on. And then I got a kind of like an amen from Intrify. Intrify, finish this sentence, and then we're going to go to the close, and we're going to have one more song, and then you get to give some more hugs and love and water to TreZure. TreZure is?
treasure is the treasure.
Treasure is the treasure. Keep it simple and plain. She is also inspiring and auspicious, vulnerable and vicious, and we are blessed to have had this opportunity to spend some quality time with your fave homegirl of the world and mine, the vocal gypsy, repping that hood and that mystique, Miss TreZure Empire. Thank you for being,
Thank you.
for shining, and for showing what it looks and sounds like to be grounded and to grow musically in the twerk and beyond. We love and appreciate you. And you, if you want more deep dive into the danceable diaspora, revisit this and past B-side excursions on YouTube, listen to our podcast on SoundCloud, or come staycation in the studio with our live all-inclusive audience vibes. I am Queen Godis, and this is the part of the show where I tell you and you and you and you and you how worthy and deserving and important you are. All of us, always. Allies and frontline. We love you, Brooklyn. Happy Pride. Till next time.